Hey there, welcome to Center Stage. Today I have with me a good friend of mine. He is an actor, director, wears many hats just like myself, and here he is, Quenten Zboyovsky.
Hi, excited to be here.
And we have you here today to talk a little bit about not only your personal career right now, but also with your show that that's coming up that you're directing called Into the Woods.
Into the woods without delay, but careful not to lose the way. Into the woods, who knows what may be lurking on the journey. Into the woods to get the thing that makes it worth your journey. Into the woods to see the king, to sell the cow, to make the post, to seize, to sell, to get, to bring, to make, to live, to go to the festival.
So can you tell us a little bit about the show?
Well, Into the Woods takes place at Pennwest University in California. And it's near and dear to me because I had just graduated from Pennwest in the spring, last spring. And so it's very surreal to be back in a place that's really helped shape my craft and what I want to do, to now not be in a classroom desk, but rather directing a main stage show.
And for those who don't know, me and Quinn both graduated in the same class for theater here at Pennwest, California. And on that topic, can you tell us a little bit about your history with Pennwest?
Well, I was a transfer student here around 4 years ago. I came in the spring of my freshman year. And I originally arrived here as an education major. I was going to teach high school English. That eventually changed to theater. But yeah, I started out spring and I participated in the spring musical. I just got to really know everybody and fell in love with all of the people in this program. And very quickly I knew my attachment and the love I had developed for the program was more than just an extracurricular or maybe like a side hobby or a passion. It convinced me that I needed to be here and to be doing this.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny where, and you've noticed this just as much as I have, where a lot of people, specifically here over the years, a lot of them would kind of go from education to theater pipeline, whether that be, adding a minor or switching majors, much like yourself. Even I'm guilty of it, where I switched from commercial music technology to theater in my junior year. So it's always kind of funny seeing where that kind of goes, where it's like education and then you either add theater or just up and change it. Mm-hmm. And during your time and stuff like that, you did a lot of acting. Were there any roles specifically that stuck out to you that you really enjoyed?
Well, in my last semester, we did the musical Bright Star. It's written by Steve Martin, a great, beautiful story, and very, very beautiful folk and bluegrass music. I got to play the role of Billy Kane, and it was a role that was just near and dear to me. I with how much I loved the show and how much I loved the story, it was nice to get to connect and participate.
And I know leading up to it, before it was officially chosen for our senior year, I knew that show itself meant a lot to you. So I was really glad to see that you were able to get that chance to not only perform in it, but get to be a leading role in it. Now, switching a little bit gears from the acting side to kind of, behind the scenes and stuff, and why you're here today with directing. Can you give us a little bit about your directing background?
Well, I mostly started out and have been directing in high schools, local, and also the high school that I graduated from, Menneson. I sort of returned there after I'd graduated to help out with things, and then it shifted from a little help to a lot of help to directing. Yeah. And so that's where I really started to get my foundation, is working in children's theater and working with children who want to do theater. And it's a special place to start out because that's where the inspiration and the love for this art form is born. So it's really nice to see that kind of spark in so many younger people and see that theater will continuously be beloved in every generation.
Absolutely. And I know for me personally, I didn't get to grow up with, a theater background. My school didn't have one. So whenever I have not only taking pictures for a production that you did with your high school and seeing a lot of other, local schools and theater companies doing junior shows, just like you said, like that importance and kind of continuing that cycle of, building up these new talents, whether it be on stage, behind the scenes, anything like that. So, it's very important to have a lot of, educational programs like that. And so going back to the acting and also more so about your personal, what has life been like since leaving Penn West?
Well, it's been job searching and finding ways to fill the time in between, and then getting the job. So I've really tried to constantly be moving in a sense. So I'll often go and agree to direct a show for a month or two, and then work just side gigs and things like that while doing that. And then, you go and you audition and you seek out work. And once you achieve that, you have that work. And then it's just that cycle of kind of going back and forth until it's permanent or frequently consistent.
And honestly, just kind of following a lot of what you've been doing outside of Penn West, it's honestly really remarkable. Going into educational theater where you're traveling around for a bit, coming back here and going towards back to a local theater company, Main Street, and getting to play Danny Zuko for their production of Grease this year. And now turning to the show at hand, Into the Woods. So what was that like getting to return a year later and direct one of the bigger shows of the year?
Well, it was intimidating for sure. I would have never thought my first experience directing in the college level with a team and a huge budget and things like that, I did not ever expect it to be Into the Woods. So that was another major reason to be intimidated. It's a beautiful show, but certainly lengthy and so very detailed and strict, and there's just such a way about the script that you have to really do your research and sit down and read. And then not only that, once you've done that and you've planned out your blocking, then you watch it happen and you create it with the actors, and then it changes because there's so many faces and so many ways to read into this story.
Yeah, and you gotta love Sondheim's writing. It's beautiful, but it's also
Meticulous.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine what the music rehearsals were like.
Yeah, Lisa, our music director, has done a great job. Everything sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, and speaking on the show, this was not actually the first time Into the Woods was supposed to be performed here. A few years before we came along, there was an original attempt to do it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, this was right around the 2019-2020 era when COVID hit. So kind of fell into that time period, that time frame, and knocked the show out. So they never got to, unfortunately, put it on.
And I remember it was kind of like a we don't speak of it type show. I remember whenever we would suggest new shows, be like, oh, we should do Into the Woods. You guys have a lot of this stuff. And they're like, yeah, no, it's a COVID show. We aren't doing that yet. Which, understandable. Kind of wish we were able to do it during our time here. But I'm really glad that, a lot of our friends and a lot of new faces as well, are able to get the chance to perform such an amazing show. So, to talk a little bit more about it, what can us as the audience expect with this specific production?
Well, you are not going to expect a proscenium stage show. We are in our Blaney Theater, so we are in a thrust style theater, so the audience will be surrounding the stage on all three sides. And And so it completely changes the way you watch and maybe get to see the story. Sitting in a different place in the theater for every performance could give you um, a different visual every night. You see different sides of people's faces, their reactions, their singing, their expressing, and their emoting. So the thrust is definitely something to think about when you're coming to watch the show as an audience member. And maybe plan to come multiple times to get multiple views.
And that's how you sell tickets. Yeah. And honestly, being in a theater like that, it is very interesting, where I feel like it's going to work a lot with Into the Woods because, with it being kind of like a storybook coming to life, you get to see all these little elements kind of be a little more personal. I feel like with thrust style theaters, you get a little bit more of a, personal experience when you're watching it. And then to continue on, what has been your favorite moment so far working on this show with this, crew, with this cast of actors, everything?
I would have to say, even though I think maybe it can sometimes be intimidating, I think some of my favorite moments are actually right at the end of the night when we're sitting down to talk about notes and how things went during the run. There's just like this, I just love the feeling of us all being together in the space after a very hard day of work. And we're all just kind of like a little anxious to get out, but also grateful that it's finished now and we're at the end of it. It's just a nice feeling to when you feel like you've really put in a good day of work.
Oh, absolutely. And I've noticed that whether it be, here, any other local theaters I've performed at, that ending night, or the ending of the night, we're always kind of sitting there, we're like, ugh, I just want to get out of here. I want to go home. For us, sometimes it'd be like, I'm going to go, I need to get classwork done. But, for it and stuff, it's always that nice little moment of kind of seeing how far the process has come. Even during the first rehearsal, it's always like, oh, wow, we got a lot done during this. And now I feel like for you guys, which you are, at the time we were recording this, are in tech, it must feel just, words can't probably describe how great it feels to be like, wow, we have come this far, and we're almost near the end.
Yeah, for sure crazy, especially with this show specifically.
And just a few more questions left here. So what is next for you?
Well, I have a bit of a break after Into the Woods. Over the summer, I'll be teaching and teching and music directing. And then once summer is over, right towards the end, in August, I'll actually be starting an acting apprenticeship with Florida Repertory Theater in Fort Myers Beach, Florida. It's a year-long apprenticeship. I'll be in there, predominantly in their theater for young audience musicals and plays, like Tuck Everlasting and the Junie B. Jones musical, and my first Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
So it seems like you're keeping yourself really busy, and honestly, just telling you personally that is incredible getting to see, how far you've come. I know my time in Pennwest, one of the things that I really admired about you was how dedicated you were. We see a lot of people in our lives, especially in the theater world, they kind of like do it for fun, or they kind of just are more relaxed about it. And, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you see someone take that dedication to really just push themselves to get to that next step, you honestly, even someone looking from afar, you just have to kind of stop and admire that. And honestly, just seeing everything you've accomplished so far and what you have told me, what you have planned in the future, it is just so remarkable seeing how far you have come. And I cannot wait to see, what's in store next that we don't even know about. And, kind of continuing from that, with a lot of people our age range, younger, who are wanting to kind of follow the same path as you, what type of advice would you give?
I would say if you really want to do it, just do it. I know that sounds so cliche and maybe not like very fruitful advice, but that is some of the truest advice I've ever been given. You have to commit yourself to it. If you are somebody who is scared of a little instability, it may not be for you. And that's also okay. Like Trenton said, it's okay to do it as a hobby and for fun. Some of our best performers, that's where it started and where it has stayed, and that's okay. But just stay committed, and just have an idea of what you like doing and what you can do, and what you can bring wherever you go. That's always been an important thing to remind myself, and how I've gotten to achieve the things I have.
Absolutely. And we're nearing the end of our interview. Thank you so much for coming on and being the first official official episode of Center Stage. And I want to leave off with this question that I want to ask everyone who comes on the show. What does your art form mean to you?
Well, it's, essentially my life. It's what I've dedicated my life to. So, it's what I think about for most of my day. And it's not only just, I know it's not a means of just passion, but it's what I want to pursue as a career. So, as I've started to mature and grow up, it's just sort of looped its way into everything in my day. I just think about it so much. So,
Absolutely. All right, I think we are about done here. If you guys want to have a really nice show and come and see a little bit of theater this weekend, Pennwest University, California campus, such a mouthful. Oh my gosh, that merger. Come see Into the Woods here at Pennwest at Steele Hall. The show dates are April 17th through the 19th at Steele Hall in the Blaney Theater. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And until next time, guys, have a nice day.